You know, it's so fun when you haven't been to Europe in probably 2 or 3 years and then you land and there's a train strike. Besides that road bump, I just landed in Athens. This is a trip I've probably been planning or wanting to do for 5 years or so. Like, ancient Greece has always been a really fascinating topic for me. Regardless, I booked a trip to Greece and I went. Besides the small road bump, I was honestly just really excited to be in Athens. It's about a 9-hour flight from New York City. I believe I flew out of JFK. May have been LaGuardia. Definitely wasn't New Jersey. I was just very happy to be in the land of euros and spanakopita, or spanakopita, however it's pronounced, and endless wine. So the first thing I want to talk about are the places to see or things you can do while you're visiting Athens. So the first one is going to be the Archaeological Museum of Athens. I thought this was really cool. It was the very first thing that we did, fresh off the plane, still in plain clothes, desperately need a shower, but we were too early to check into our hotel. The bane of my existence. However, I really liked this spot. I think it was only about 12 euros per person to get in. I believe it was cheaper if you were under 18. It was really neat. You could see a very large difference between the Minoan periods up into what you consider like regular ancient Greece. The way of the art and the sculptures went from being really simple and clearly extremely old to the magnificent lifelike marble that we're used to was just incredible. They also had a bunch of other things, weapons, armor. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so the next item, extremely touristy, and forgive me for completely butchering the pronunciation. I don't speak Greek. Monastraki Square?
Monastiraki.
It's a massive tourist area. It's right by the Acropolis, so it's kind of hard to miss. Tons of restaurants, stores. There are going to be people who do try to actively, of course, pull you into restaurants. Do not feel pressured to eat somewhere just because they're pulling you in. Read the menu, walk away, read something else, come back. There are a lot of people. Definitely be careful about pickpockets. Make sure you have your bag in the front. It is a fun area and it is easy access to, as I said, the Acropolis and a lot of the ruins, so it's a good space to walk around, check it out, get a coffee, get lunch, all that good stuff. Next is the archaeological site of the ancient Agora. As I said, there's a bunch of different ruins around the square, whose name I'm not going to probably attempt to repronounce. This is one of them. I think the actual price to get in was about 10 euros. I didn't pay that because I was actually very lucky. I happened to be in Athens on one of their very rare free days. On that day, I got into everything for free. Otherwise, it's normally about a 10 euro fee, and it's very beautiful. However, with the note of ancient ruins, a lot of stuff isn't still standing. It's a lot of what just kind of looks like big rocks in a large field. A lot of grass, very dusty, so I actually don't wear white shoes like I did. Not a good idea, but it's still very beautiful. And then within the Agora, there's actually a museum that is like a full standing building, but it is quite small. So when you go in, you can like walk through and see some of the different artifacts that they've collected, and you can go outside and upstairs. There's a couple more things on that level, and then there's a pretty good view of the ruins from above. If you go back downstairs, there is a free restroom if you need it. The Acropolis, because obviously you cannot go to Athens, at least for the first time, without stopping and seeing the Acropolis. It is absolutely magnificent. I was in awe. It's really amazing because it's just sitting on top of a hill and you're like, holy crap, there it is. To get up to the actual building, you are going to need to go up lots of ramps and stairs. So you're going to want to have pretty good leg strength. Once we were up and in to see the Acropolis itself, I think it was probably one of the most beautiful pieces of ancient architecture I've ever seen in my entire life. I actually did stop and just kind of stare at it because it was something that I had been like wanting to see for so long, and the fact that it was right in front of my face was just absolutely incredible. Yeah, I really like take it all in. When we saw the Parthenon, which, let's be honest, that's the thing that most people are truly there to see. Unfortunately, there was scaffolding. It's still gorgeous and you can walk around the back, and there was no scaffolding on that side. Hopefully it's gone by the time you go to visit. You can also keep walking to the back, and there's this area you can walk up and you can get a really beautiful, almost aerial-like view with the Parthenon in the back, a bunch of the rest of the Acropolis. Just highly recommend. You cannot skip the Acropolis. On its own, I do believe it was about 25 or so euros. So just a heads up on that. I don't know if there's a name for this, but as we were walking away, there was a hill. The hill was just a really cool place to stop because you can just get like these really incredible views with the Acropolis in the background, and then you can also have a a really amazing view of Athens itself. And so it was just a nice spot to climb up and look and sit for a while. It may have an official name. If it does, please tell me in the comments below. Hadrian's Library, I think, was probably one of the least impressive ruins that I saw. It did have maybe one arch still standing, and on its own, I believe it had a €8 entrance fee. I don't think on its own that's worth it. If you're gonna buy one of the combo tickets for that entire area, I would say by all means, like, stop it and look around. Otherwise, it was fine. I definitely would not have paid the individual entrance fee had it not been the free day or had I not gotten the combo ticket. The Plaka neighborhood is, and again, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly,
Plaka
is a picturesque, like, shopping area. Again, very touristy, lots of restaurants and things like that. It's a nice place to walk around, maybe grab some dinner, maybe do a little shopping, but I don't think it's a place that you really need to spend too much time in. I do still think it's a nice area just to sort of walk around and get a feel for. So what food should you get while you're in Athens? Well, number one, I'm gonna say souvlaki. I'm just a sucker for grilled meat. You put some meat on some charcoals or over a fire, ugh, just absolutely divine. You can pretty much find souvlaki in a lot of places. We found one near our hotel. It was just kind of almost like a hole in the wall. Just walk in, order, which was really nice. I think we got the pork and the chicken. Panikopita. The cheese and spinach pastry. I had one actually the morning that we went on a day trip to Delphi. You can find them really easily for breakfast. So good. Okay, here's another one where please forgive me. Lokoumades. The Greek honey covered donuts. Oh my word, are they beautifully indulgent. So they're just like these fried little donuts and they're just soaked in honey. It's like, it's amazing. It's absolutely great. If you like honey and fried dough, it's a cannot miss. I would also recommend getting moussaka. It's kind of like a Greek lasagna, no offense to the Italians, but basically it's a Greek casserole and it's just got layers of either beef or lamb. I believe lamb is the traditional, with eggplant, a spiced tomato sauce, and bechamel. It's great. It's absolutely fabulous. I had mine in that square by the Acropolis and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So highly recommend if you like meat and tomatoes and eggplant. A good glass of Greek white wine. So I was actually not a white wine person prior to visiting Greece. I was very much a red wine person. Prior to college, I thought wine was terrible and only drank beer. When in Athens, right? So we went to a little winery bar sit down and we just asked for a recommendation, and the woman told us that in Greece, we're very well known for our white wine. So I was like, great. Which one do you recommend? I prefer dry. I don't remember which wine she recommended to us, but it was good. Yeah, basically from that moment on, I've become a lot more okay with drinking white wine. So Greece converted me. Good job. So transportation. How do you get to Athens? How do you get around Athens? All that good stuff. So if you're at the airport, as long as there's not a train strike, I would say you can take like the train, the metro station just fine. I actually did a short on how to use the Athens metro system. I will go ahead and link that here. Otherwise, you can also take a taxi from the airport. You can use the apps Free Now and Uber, and then make sure if you do use Free Now that you do have your flight information available, because it does ask you to enter it into the app. It was like a government mandated requirement. Just make sure you have that handy if you do need to request a taxi. Getting around Athens is actually pretty simple. Same as with the airport, you can very easily just take the metro everywhere. It's very inexpensive. I believe it was €1.20 per ride, but you could also buy multi-day passes, multi-ride passes, things along those lines. I had a bunch of locals in my short tell me on TikTok that they just jumped the train. Don't do that. Please pay for a ticket. You don't want to get into any legal trouble while you're in a foreign country. It's very cheap, so just grab a ticket from one of the machines. Otherwise, Athens is extremely walkable, especially when it's warmer out, which I don't know how cold it gets in Athens. I was there in April and it was pretty nice actually. Train, walking, no problem. You shouldn't have any issues. So accommodations. I do think that staying in the city center is probably going to be the best for easy walkability, especially if you are only in Athens for a couple of days like I was. I was probably only there about 2.5, 3 days, which was really not enough time to be honest. I stayed specifically at a hotel called Epidaurus in Ammonia, and I'm going to just stop myself right there because I'm going to need to tell you, do not stay in Ammonia. I wish I had done more research before I booked the hotel. I was a little too cheap on booking it. Ammonia is not the safest part of town. It was kind of obvious when when looking around. I would recommend maybe getting something more brand name like a Hyatt, or maybe find another cute little boutique hotel that's not in Ammonia. If you do need data while you're in Greece, I do highly recommend Olafly. It's the eSIM provider that I've used for all of my trips, honestly. It's really nice because you can auto install the eSIM directly from their app. You don't have to copy a bunch of weird long codes and hoping that you put it all in there correctly, only to land and find out that your data doesn't work, and then you're struggling to find Wi-Fi to fix the problem, and then, you know, it's just a whole headache that you don't need. If you do want to save 5% off your next eSIM with Olafly, I will leave a link in the description below. Some general tips for Athens, I would say make sure you wear good walking shoes. You are going to do a fair amount of walking just because it is a very walking friendly city, as well as there are a good amount of hills and stairs. Don't stay in Ammonia if you can avoid it. I would also really recommend wearing sunscreen because I actually got burned in April, which I was not expecting. I had to go to a pharmacy to buy sunscreen to protect my very pale Scandinavian skin. Be kind to the cats. The cats really do just walk around. Just be friendly to them. They're really not going to bother you. They may ask for food a couple of times and then just leave. So if you're not a cat person, just leave them alone. Ignore them. But just be kind to them because they're a pretty integral part of the city and the country in general. And then if you want to see a lot of ancient ruins, I would really highly recommend getting one of those combo tickets. It's one flat price of I think somewhere around 35 euros, and it just gets you into a ton of the different things. I was very fortunate that I was there on a free day, but had I not been, I would have gotten the combo ticket because all the individual things add up really quickly if you want to see more than one. Then just some general comments. Athens had a lot more graffiti than I was expecting, but I mean, at the same time, you know, it's a big major city. I used to live in Berlin. There's a lot of graffiti there, and I live in New York, and there's a lot of graffiti here as well. I guess it just kind of caught me off guard, but then again, you know, places aren't always going to be as they seem until you get there and actually look around and you're like, oh yeah, it's a city like everywhere else. If you buy a bottle of something in plastic, the Greek bottles, actually the cap doesn't screw all the way off. At first I was confused and I was trying to like rip it. I was like, why isn't it coming off? And then it turns out they don't fully come off, and then you can easily just put them back on and re-screw the cap, which I actually thought was really convenient. You can just kind of drink it to the side so it doesn't hit your face. But yeah, I actually thought that was really nice because you can't lose or drop the cap. If you stay in really large tourist areas, a lot of things will be in English. So if you don't speak Greek, that's super helpful. But if you do get outside of the really hot touristy areas, you may not find things to be in English as often. Just a heads up, if you're not aware, Greek does use its own alphabet. It is not the Romanized alphabet. So you're gonna want to get some sort of AI translator or something along those lines, which probably need the internet, which is a great reason why you should get an Olafly eSIM before you go to Greece. So just kind of to wrap it up, like my first time in Athens was truly awe-inspiring. I didn't get to do as much in Athens as I really wanted to. As I said, this was really only about 2.5, 3 days because I was in Greece for 9 days and I kind of overbooked myself. There's a lot of other things that I wish I could have seen. I really would probably recommend at least 5 days in Athens before you move on to another area, just to really get a better feel for it and to see as much of the city as you can. The people though were extremely kind. I didn't really have any problems, so I felt very welcome. There was one protest. I wasn't quite sure what it was about outside of the train strike, but as I never felt like I was in danger, I didn't get pickpocketed. Just keep your stuff in front of you and you should be all right. If you do want to read my blog post on Athens, you can see that on my website, edenandthread.com. And if you want the perfect tool to plan your next vacation, you can check out my ultimate travel planner. I will leave the link in the description below. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Slow down, hold on tight now. It's okay to meet me